So yesterday we had a very heated call-in segment about whether or not kids should learn about the LGBTQ plus community in school as part of their sex ed program. And we got a call from a sex ed teacher who had something to say about it. Before we get to her, here is a sampling of what you had to say. Let's hear first from those who were for it being taught in schools.
I think it should definitely be taught in schools, and I think it would be really inclusive for people to know about these things and be able to learn about it younger. And I'm not saying to go super in depth, but at least make people know in the right way that these things exist.
Kids are taught sexual education, aren't they? Why can't that be just a part of the sex education class?
It's better that they get informed, in the right manner, than finding out in the streets the wrong answers to their questions. I want the school to teach my granddaughter and other children the right stuff.
And then there were those who thought it should absolutely not be taught in schools.
People aren't mad that the school is teaching it because they're not teaching tolerance and acceptance and stop bullying. What they're doing, as you can see all over the internet on TikTok and social media, they're encouraging these pride parades inside the school.
I completely don't care what people are, but I do find it kind of stupid that everything sort of gay pride is so hypersexualized.
When you start talking about the difference between what heterosexual and what non-heterosexual ideas or the whole thing is, then you have to start the conversation about what is sexual attraction. And that should not be taught to any minor.
Okay.
Oh.
I'm taking a deep breath again. I had to take several during this segment yesterday. And we got a phone call from Julie CHACRA, a PhD student in youth work at Concordia. She taught sex education over 150 groups in different schools, and she joins us on the phone now. Thank you so much for your time today, Julie.
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
I think you'll have a very interesting perspective on this, but first I want to know what compelled you to want to reach out about this.
First of all, hats off to you for engaging any group, let alone the island of Montreal, English-speaking Montreal, in a conversation that is so tough. Recognizing how tough it was and seeing, I remember hearing you both at the end of the call, you're holding space for a lot of really tough and polarizing commentary. People have very strong opinions about what they think is happening in a sex ed class. And so I just recognize that sometimes it's about demystifying that, and I thought I could be helpful.
Yeah, for sure. I love you so seized upon it, Julie. People have this idea that completely inappropriate things are being taught to our children. That is not the case. Can you tell us what is being taught and how it's being approached?
Sure. So first things first, the Quebec Sex Ed program was revamped a couple of years ago, and they actually did a really great job. It's available online. The entire outline, we talk about healthy relationships, we talk about taking care of our bodies, understanding how our bodies work, we talk about attraction, absolutely. But one thing that people need to understand is the same way we're not going to be teaching a grade 2 student calculus, we're not going to start teaching advanced topics in sexual education to youth that's not age appropriate. So we're always considering in everything we teach or present in a school, everything is elaborated on and developed based on age appropriate expectations that are very, very highly guided by people that took a lot of time to think about this, No, that wasn't me, but the idea is that there's a lot of planning, and everything is very purposeful. The main topics, one of your callers mentioned teaching empathy and tolerance. Well, that is absolutely at the core of things, but also understanding at one point what is happening to your body, what are the changes that are related to puberty, and how do they affect the way we interact and the way we see each other. These are all important things that need to be addressed because it's happening. It's as of grade 6, the girls are a little bit earlier than boys in terms of when they hit puberty. But when kids hit puberty, there are not only physical changes, but there's psychological changes that are directly associated with these hormones that are pumping through their veins. And if we don't help them make sense of it and tell them that they're normal, then they make up their own stories. And yes, they will go to TikTok, and then they'll come and check with me and ask me things that, some questions about basic body function that, every grade 8, grade 9 student should know. and they don't. So it's not about pointing fingers and playing the blame game. One of the things that the kids tell me the most of is, I ask them, first question, who's ever taken sex ed, or have you ever had a sex talk with your parents? And one of the most common lines is, we started, but then they started to make jokes and I didn't understand anything, so I told them I understood.
Aha. I think parents have a big part to play in this, right? And I mean, my concern, I always say, is, because people are like, well, that's my job as a parent to teach my kid about it. But like, some parents are never going to have those conversations. And then, so where do those kids get the information? How do they learn about what's happening to them?
Yeah, so you're right. And it's, I'm the one who talked to my kids, and I don't mind even talking to my nephews and my nieces. And some people are more comfortable with topics that are taboo, that because they represent different things in different groups, and different cultural groups, and different religious groups as well, and that is totally fine. But what's important is that there is basic information that we need to understand about what's happening in our bodies at this crucial age, especially when we're interacting with others, that has nothing to do with opinion. It's just your body's changing. It's normal at a certain age that spontaneous erections happen. Yes, it's okay. You're not dying. Everything's going to be okay. And so I think some parents lean into it, and that's great. I think, I always tell the kids, go home, tell your parents that we're talking about this so you can continue the conversation. And I tell the kids also, this is not a go have sex class. This is the more you know, the better you can take care of your body. And that's proven. The places where we teach about safe sex, about prevention, where we talk about sexuality, we have lower situations of unplanned pregnancies. And, when we talk about gender-based violence, we dismantle that in a classroom when we're having conversations about what are gender roles and what are stereotypes and what does it mean to be beautiful or not, or to be a man or to be a woman, and what is the difference between sex and gender. These deconstructing these things, the kids are so eager to learn, and they're interested, and so I think it's a heck of a lot easier to teach than a lot of other subjects, personally, though don't ask me to teach a math class. Mm-hmm. I think sometimes parents need to get to know also what is actually happening in the class so that we can de-dramatize it for them as well, because they're just doing their best to take care of their kids,
I want to stop you because I think that last point is the one that a lot of people are trying to, at least I'm trying to make sense of. Why do you think, and maybe it's not a fair question, but there are parents just bothered by that? Just by the fact that they're the ones who are going to have to step in here and say it's okay or it's not okay. Some don't want to touch it at all. Others want to go completely overboard and suggest it not be discussed at all. Has it been like this for a while? Because it seems like that divide is getting bigger all the time.
Well, I think that it becomes, so a lot of opinions when it comes to what to teach our kids can be associated with, political opinions as well, and more openness and so on, and religious stances or not. But the important, teaching about, and especially, and this is another thing, you can trust parents to do a lot, and I think parents are great. I love being a parent. But the kid that needs to hear from somebody that being gay is totally, totally fine and totally normal, and you're respected in front of the law. And the kid that needs to hear that consent means what consent really means and how we need to understand that consent needs to be freely given. All of these concepts, we present them as educators in a way that is like, I don't walk in there with my opinions. And so hearing that, that I'm gay or that I'm trans or that I'm not sure who I like right now, or I don't feel anything for anybody, and how that can be totally normal, from somebody who's outside, is really helpful. And the kids really respond to that because our relationships aren't as complicated. For me, they know that that's my job. And when I don't know the answer, let's go find the answer together.
Great stuff.
Yeah, great stuff. I don't know how many minds will change, though.
It's the fear, though. It's the fear of what's being...
And it's not about, I don't think that, and so that's another word that came up yesterday, was to indoctrinate. And I think that, the minute you have any type of curriculum, somebody could stand up and say, well, no, the earth is flat, or no, math doesn't make sense, or, but as a society, we've decided that education is a human right, that everyone is allowed to go to school. And as you know, there are people that take a lot of time to purposefully put together incredible programs that rank us among some of the best places to live in the world because our population is educated and we are well defined with rights and we have work to do. But you know, let's not poo-poo on at one point. Let's not poo-poo on it too much. Well, what we can do though is examine how we feel about sex and sexuality, and that often will illuminate why we're so uncomfortable or comfortable with the topic with our kids.
Hey, Julie, we're out of time, but we so appreciate your time and you taking the initiative to get in touch and make sure we had this important conversation. Thank you.
You guys take care. You're doing important work. Thank you.
So
So are
much.
you.
Great
Thank
guest.
you.